go!
All right, everybody, welcome to Teach You Crypto. This is AZcrypto back with the two-man show with MrFOMO. MrFOMO, good to see you back with us. And again, we are trying to push towards 400 subs. If you could help us out, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. We would greatly, greatly appreciate it. MrFOMO, a lot of news. We'll start off really quickly with some Voyager information. If you are in Voyager, you probably know tomorrow is the cutoff date to vote, February 22nd, for the plan. It looks like despite a lot of negative news, the Binance deal is definitely going through, barring some crazy situations. So again, we talked about last week with me that you want to opt in on the app, on the claims, so you can get your Binance account either connected or get a new one as soon as possible, because that's where they're sending the crypto. And MrFOMO, a lot of people on Voyager got some good news, because if you hold StormX, if you're still holding on Voyager, that has now been made available on Binance US. So the last token they add in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Well, I think it's a good thing if you hold StormX in general. Like a long time ago, I was earning StormX and I pulled my StormX off Voyager in order to stake it on the StormX app. And so luckily, my StormX money, all of it that there is over on the StormX app, earning money for me. And occasionally it also gets me rewards when I buy something through the StormX app. So I think through anybody who is a StormX holder should be excited about this, because you finally have a place to really trade your StormX. Voyager was your only option, really.
And I think it shows that Binance US is going to try to add some of those assets so people don't get sold out. You know,
yeah,
what I mean?
I didn't have time to.
It.
I was going to get a "We Did It" banner behind us here so that it would drop down when you mentioned StormX and getting listed. So that I wanted to celebrate for them finally getting listed. Remember, they sent me all that swag back in the day. They sent me. They did.
That was before everything. It was before all the crashes and all the negativity. But yeah, we've talked about them a lot. It's just a lot of promise. They just can't seem to consistently deliver.
I think if they could deliver quicker, they would be a better option. But I honestly, like you've mentioned before, I think somebody like Rakuten or Ibotta or Fetch, or one of these other ones, if they wanted to get into crypto and they did, I think that they would be able to do it quicker, and they would end up eating their lunch and taking advantage of them. So the hope is that they get bought out by one of those bigger ones, but we'll see.
Yeah. And so what's been interesting in the market recently is we've had BTC try to push 25K several times. It's kind of been rejected. 25K seems to be a line where a lot of people are taking profits, and understandably so, because most people are still saying we're in a bear market. Some people are trying to say we're the start of a bull. You know, the way we feel is I would be very cautious about that. And I tweeted this out. We are now a little over a year away from the next Bitcoin halving. So it's coming. It's coming, folks. It's coming. But again, I would be cautious at going on in on all. It's the best thing to do. We've talked about this DCA. And so for our new viewers, DCA, can you explain really quickly, just in case we've got new people on board, what DCA means?
To dollar cost average is to periodically just buy small amounts of whatever you're interested in to add it to your portfolio. Some people do it blindly. They say every Friday I'm going to DCA. There was at one point I was buying small amounts of BTC, and I figured out that Sundays were pretty much the best day to do it on the calendar. Looking at historically what was going on, Sundays seemed to be the best days to do it, and it worked out pretty well. I just kind of had it blindly set up, and it would purchase for me. But dollar cost averaging can be really effective, especially in a volatile market like crypto, when it's going to go up and down in huge swings. If you believe in something now and it drops to 17 again, or if you believe in Bitcoin and it drops to 17 again, it gives you the opportunity to put some more in it. But if you believe in it now, why not put in some now? But it's a better option than putting in the entire boat of money that you have to invest just on one thing. It's better to spread it around a little bit to hedge your bets.
So something that just hit the news right before we went on air, and it's very, very interesting to me. And we're going to talk about it really quickly. It was a tweet from Bitcoin Magazine, and the tweet states, just in, Coinbase and talks create a federally regulated Bitcoin and crypto exchange. Obviously, Coinbase is the biggest dog in the market. My take is, are they working with the U.S. government here and the SEC to try to create some clarity into what and what is not a security, which has been a very vague, crazy road? And you know me, I said, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's find out what's legal. Let's find out what's not. So the projects that are alive can benefit. You know, regulation is coming. It's much slower than I anticipated. I'm curious as your thought here is Coinbase working with the U.S. government? What's going on here?
I don't think it would be in their worst interests to stay away from the government, but we've seen in the past that Coinbase has gone to the government in advance of doing things, only for the government to slap them, similar to what they've done to other, other exchanges. So I couldn't imagine that kind of a relationship turning on a dime like that, because it was just recently that they were, coming out against the things that the SEC was doing to crack in, and the things that they were doing to earn programs. And so I wouldn't see, if they were working together that closely and putting something together like this in earnest, I couldn't see them, at least not their CEO, coming out against the SEC publicly. And so I don't think that they're working together, but I do think this is a positive sign for those people who are on Coinbase, or who like to use Coinbase as their exchange. You mentioned they're one of the big dogs here in the US, but we know Binance globally is the one that is the real big dog. And for those of us that are on Voyager, we'd like to see Binance do a little bit more communication, working with the government, getting themselves more regulated, make us feel a little bit safer as our assets transfer over. But this seems like a good thing to me. This seems like, going to the table as Coinbase has in the past and saying, look, this is what we'd like to offer, and this is where we'd like to go with it, seems like a positive way to approach it, rather than, asking for forgiveness later. I think the SEC and the U.S. government have run out of patience for that kind of behavior after the FTX thing.
Well, if the SEC and government really cared about the consumer, they would figure out the plan, what they want, and then just implement it.
Instead, I don't think it's about the consumer. I think it's about the embarrassment.
Well, that's the sad. It should be about the consumer. I know it's not, but we say it's about the consumer. Make it about the consumer, And for me, I would like more clarity in the space. So some of these, fly-by-night pyramid schemes don't get started, or at least are legal to trade in the U.S. And I know this goes against a lot of what crypto people believe. They don't believe in government intervention. But at the same time, let's be honest, guys, we had a lot of bad actors over the last year that really hurt crypto. And we're just now slowly starting to recover. So we can't just pretend now that Luna, Voyager, Celsius, FTX, that didn't happen. And in fact, again, Luna, the leadership from Luna today, more reports of them taking money away and hiding it, and now using it to live off. So we 3 arrows, all that. We can't pretend that didn't happen. And it would be great. Like, it would be great if we were able to regulate ourselves, but we know now that just wasn't the case. A lot of people have been hurt. A lot of people are coming in now on Twitter and sharing, hey, I kind of stuck to myself over the summer. I didn't talk to anyone because I was stuck in FTX or Voyager. FTX happened recently, but Celsius and Voyager, there was a lot of emotional, financial pain caused. And right now, people are just not only slowly to recover economically, but psychologically as well. So I think it would be a disservice to pretend that stuff didn't happen and that everything's okay now because BTC got back to 25K. I just think that's genuine.
I hope that their regulation isn't as far reaching as saying what you can and can't invest in. I think that, some of the exchanges do a pretty good job of vetting these things. Coinbase does a pretty good job of vetting some of their coins and their projects. I wish they
Well, but
did
I
a
mean, no
better
one knew
job.
Luna. But here's the problem: when what happened with Luna, you don't want those situations to occur
Right. But
over and
again,
over.
those were bad actors, and I think that's the important thing to remember is that bad actors were the problem there. I think if you have crypto companies and crypto projects that are coming to the table, eventually they're going to have to. I think there should be a pathway to adoption, and there should be a pathway to
Well,
getting listed in the US, and there should be.
I,
They can't just say, all right, these are the ones, and then that's it. They
but
need to
here's the
first
problem,
create
and I'll
that
play it back
pathway.
here. The state of Kentucky considered VGX a security and said to cease and desist, and those people weren't allowed to get yield. You want to have clarity. So you're saying you don't want the government to come in and say this is what's allowed and this is not. It's going to happen eventually.
Well,
For
no, no,
me,
I
that to
just
happen as soon as possible.
I just don't think that they should be allowed to tell us which projects are allowed and which projects aren't. I think if they say it's a security, it's not a security, that makes no difference to me as long as I'm allowed to invest in it. You,
But
you
you
see what I'm
won't.
saying?
There'll be there. You know very well that there are certain tokens you can easily get and certain tokens you can't. So, I mean, you can if you go off the grid,
Well,
yes.
I
But
think that regulation should focus more on bad actors than on crypto, is what I'm saying. I think that there should be more accountability for these bad actors. We haven't seen enough
well,
accountability yet.
I
Um,
agree, but is it healthy for criminals to come up with their own token and people say, well, that's just the market. It'll figure
Well,
itself out.
if I go onto a swap and get my hands on it, then that's my fault, right? But if I go onto an exchange and get my hands on it, now the exchange has an obligation to do at least a
But
little bit
I
of
think
homework.
there's a big difference between a legitimate project and someone that knows they're going to rug people ahead of time, or that's in. I think having some rules and regulation as to if you want to start a new project and sell in the U.S., here's what we expect. I think that's coming at some point, and I can't
That I would
imagine
agree
it's
with.
not. I mean,
That's fine as long as there's
otherwise, the space is never going to fully heal itself. You
as
just
long
can't
as there's
have
a
bad
pathway
actors
to
rugging
adding
people.
as long as there's a pathway to adding investments, right? It's
Oh yeah.
because if you just list the top 200 or the top 200 that the US allows, now you've limited those ones. Once the money's in, there's no more 100x, right? There's no more 1000x. There's
Well,
no more
I
real
think those days are.
volatility in the crypto market
You'll still
unless
have
you have a
volatility.
pathway to gaining,
I think
that
the 100
acceptance
and the
from the US.
1000x is going to be tough. Really. I mean, you saw something like Audius go way down. That's still probably not going to be 100x. You saw a bunch of stuff go way VeChain. It is what it is. That era is probably past. Yeah, there'll be some like no name coins that do that if you get in super early. But the amount of those is just like we didn't see an alt season. I think we're going to see less 100x's. That
Well,
doesn't
absolutely.
mean that there's not a great opportunity.
Absolutely. I don't think we're going to see as many 100x's anymore. It's just the nature of where crypto is in its growth and its
No,
life cycle. Um, but I think when you say these are the 200 projects you can invest in here in the US, once that's
for
done,
now.
once people have their money there isn't much to be made after that. And so I
Well,
wouldn't
there'll be
want
new
it to be
projects
that way
introduced.
without a pathway to more
There will be
projects
a
being
pathway
adopted.
for people to introduce new projects. They'll just have to go through regulation. That's so we'll see. I listen. I think I'm now to the point where I don't think regulation's coming in time for the next Bitcoin halving in the next bull run. Yep, and we talked about that really quickly on Voyager. The last day to vote is in fact tomorrow. We should get some confirmation on the deal in March, and let's cross our fingers that we start getting our crypto back next month. That should be the headline, Mr. FOMO. We'll have to edit
Yeah,
that out.
and did you make sure that you've gone on to the Voyager app and done everything you need to do there? It's not much. I think you just have to press a button.
You just
Um,
opt in, and I would recommend, not financial advice, but I would recommend everyone opt in, whether you're voting for the deal or not. it looks really, really, really heavily for sure that the deal is going through, unless something crazy happens in crypto. You just never know. But I don't think Binance US is going down under over the next 6 weeks. So I think this is happening. So I think between March and April, remember, it's not going to happen all at once. Voyager people, including us, will finally get some closure and will really start on a real path to recovery. You got to remember, a lot of people had significant funds trapped, so their investment funds are on there. In that, they everyday living costs money. Not everyone. Yeah,
and your
your
opportunity
situation, for
costs
example,
are gone after that,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You start to gain opportunities again. You free up some of those funds. You're able to use them in the market again, and
and
you stop burning opportunity cost every single day. And that's one of the things that we were most hopeful for in
by
this.
the
But when
way,
you look at if you look at the people on FTX right now, people are going and offering buyouts for those on FTX, and they're getting 20 cents on the dollar at best right now. And so if we end up getting somewhere around 50%, we've done really well for ourselves, because it doesn't look like FTX, those folks that are trapped in FTX are going to do as well as that, or at least they're not doing that well in the open market right now.
So Dustin, just be careful with the hot wallets, because there's a lot of scams out there where people try to send you messages. You hook your wallet up and they say that you need to enter in your keys to activate it, and that could spur someone to scam you. So just be really careful with those hot wallets. One thing, and it's not safe at all, but if you get a trust wallet, there's they have a lot of different coins now where you can just swap on the trust. And what you could end up doing is taking your USDC or ETH or BTC, sending it to either Binance US or CoinBase, and then hooking it up to your bank. There are other ways to do it, but as far as safety and security, if you are playing with a hot wallet, you might want to try as much as you can to avoid the swaps, just because a lot of people have been burned. And we talked about this before. There is no insurance. If you get burned on the swap and something happens, it's game over. So just be careful out there.
But you do have, Dustin, you do have the right idea, making sure that you're pulling your crypto out of someone else's possession and into your own possession, right? And that's the idea at the end of the day, is you're using the exchange to exchange cryptos, but at the end of the day, you want to be in control.
Don't be prepared. Don't be afraid to take your profits and just go right back to the bank. I think sometimes, bank is a dirty word in crypto, but listen, it's insured. So if you make a 25% profit in the next bull on a coin and you decide to sell, there's nothing wrong with throwing that money right back into the bank where it's secure. We learned the hard way. Listen, there's no insurance on any wallet. I don't care what it is, cold, hot, exchanges. So you just never know. And that's the point I want to make. And it's not a popular opinion. The banks are evil, this and that. They might be, but guess what? They're insured. So if you get your 25%, don't let anyone make you feel bad about taking that money, putting that money away, coming back later in. That's just the way it is. The hodl,
and
it's kind of a myth a little bit. We talked about before. Talk about that again.
And you could always, there are banks that are giving you returns similar to what you might get on Coinbase in your USDC. So don't be afraid to go look at something like SoFi. And this is something that AZ and I were talking about, I think, yesterday. There are some banks that are starting to offer better returns
online.
So you can still take it back to a bank and get a return on it and have it insured. And so there is still that option. I know people like exchanges to get into those earn programs, but there's still some regulatory clarity problems with that. And you never want to be trapped on an exchange waiting for your money like we were throughout this process, like we still are.
Never again. And do everything you can to avoid Chapter 11. Mr. FOMO, it's been a great show. We're going to hit the viewers with so much more coming up in the future. When we buy a token, we're going to hopefully do some quick hits and tell the audience right away, not financial advice. But as we get closer and closer to a bull run, there's going to be more and more opportunities. So one of the things we've been talking about is once a token is purchased, me or you will jump on immediately and do a really, really quick, just, hey, I bought this, or I'm about to buy this, and here's why. Just to really, we're about recovery here, and we want to
Give them
share
an
as much
idea.
knowledge as we can.
What are you eyeballing right now that you're what's your thesis
Well,
on what
here's
you're
the thing.
eyeballing right
If
now?
I'm confident that BTC is going to get past that 25K, I really like, and I've talked about this coin a lot, I really like Avalanche right now because it hasn't run, right? You've seen some other coins run. So I would not get StormX. It's done really well because, the news came out of the Binance, and I think people kind of got word of that, so this is kind of, remember, a lot of the stuff is trapped on Voyager. So I wouldn't buy something like StormX. I wouldn't buy something that already ran, right? So I would stay away.
For that, just for all the shots you take at StormX, I'm going to wear all my StormX swag on the next show. Bring my cup and everything.
You look at stuff that really that I love that just hasn't run that much, and I'm looking at DOT, I'm looking at Avalanche, and I'm here's one for you, Link. It started to run a little bit, and it's
they had
down.
some news recently,
but these are not something like Link is not Chainlink is not something I'm going to hold long term. But if I think BTC, and I'm not confident, by the way, that we're going to get to 30K, but if I was, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to pick up BTC, Link, and next few weeks when BTC hits 29, I get my 5 to 10 to 15% bump. Hopefully, I'm out, taking that money, coming back in later for something else. Again, now I don't think is the time to hodl. We're still in a bear. I mean, you could DCA, you could buy something right now that's way undervalued, like Audius still, even though it's gone well up since December.
And download that app. They've got some cool music on that app. I'm on that app playing around all the time, and I've heard music that you don't get on the radio. Really good.
One more I'll give just for free. Ocean AI token. AI tokens are become really popular. Ocean is way down from what it used to be. Would I hold Ocean for a year or two? Probably not. But I buy it, wait for that 10 to 20% rise, and peace out.
Or if you're an Ocean or Audius or whatever bull, and you don't want to play the ups and downs of the market, and you just want to wait until the bull run, then you can hodl till the bull run. But once you see major profits, it's time to
at some point you got to take profit. At some point, the hodl's got to go.
You've got to pay yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope you guys enjoy this. More content to come. Please hit that like. And as always, please hit that subscribe button. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. Have an amazing evening, everybody.
See you.